Hey everyone, how's it going? My name is Chris. I make music under the name Wav.Formation. I'm a producer that does hip-hop and electronic music, and welcome to my YouTube channel, first of all. This is something that I've been wanting to do for so long, but I never knew how to get started. I still don't know how to get started, so we're just going to film this thing, and we're just going to go along with it, and I don't really care how it turns out, because I just want to put some stuff out there for you guys, and I want to share my music with you guys. So today we're going to do a beat dissect. So what we're going to do is listen to one of my beats first of all, and I'm going to go through and kind of just pick apart all the little pieces that makes the song, and we're just going to go through it. I'm going to show you a few mixing tricks that I do and how I structure things, and let's just get into it. So first of all, I'm going to show you the song so that you know what we're talking about and what I'm referencing. And so here's the track. So you get the idea. It's kind of a hip-hop track. It has guitars in it and all that good stuff. So let's just focus on this main thing right here. What I did was I got a guitar loop. I'm not sure where I got it from. Oh, I got it from Echo Soundworks. Shout out to Echo Soundworks. He makes great sounds. He's a great sound designer, especially if you use Serum. Okay, so I took one of his loops and it goes like this. Sorry, I gotta change the sample rate. I gotta change the buffer size because it's just going crazy right now. Okay, so here's the sample. I kind of just chopped it up and made a couple downward pitches to it, but basically it's the original loop. Okay, so we took that loop. That is kind of the foundation. That is kind of the main melody of the song. And I'm going to show you how I did the drums. So we have, this is the drums by itself, by the way. So it's pretty straightforward. It's a pretty basic, just trap style drum. The only thing I can note is that with my hi-hats, something that I really like to do is in Ableton, if you go into the simpler, there is, under the Control tab, there's a little notch that you can turn up and it just changes the random panning of the hi-hats. You can do it to any track, any sound you want, but I do this with my hi-hats specifically all the time. And it kind of gives it that, it bounces back and forth between the two speakers. And so if you listen to just the hi-hat by itself, I don't know if you can tell on this microphone, but it tends to bounce between the left and the right speaker just a little bit to give it that life, to give it that kind of movement, because if you notice a lot of hi-hats in some trap songs, they get kind of stagnant and they kind of become stale because they're just constantly like right in the middle, so I like to bounce them between the two speakers. And you can tell it kind of messes with the velocity as well because it's not so prominent in the middle or to the left or to the right. It's constantly random. So that really gives it some life. And so that's the main hi-hat pattern. But I also added these rolls. And I also do the random panning on those because, again, it gives it that life. And then as far as the kick, everything is just so straightforward. You kind of just have to know what you're doing as far as sound selection. That is the most important, that's the most crucial part out of production. If you're not picking the right sounds, then you're gonna spend so much time trying to make that sound good. So right off the bat, just make good decisions on your sounds. Depending on whatever genre you're doing and whatever track style it is, it's all gonna vary. So just make sure you pick the right sounds from the get-go. And don't pick something bad and then just the more you listen to it, you get married to the idea, and then you're gonna end up being stuck with it. So just pick good sounds and roll with it. So yeah, all I did as far as the kick is take out a little bit of the low end because some of this low end is inaudible and it's just gonna take up headroom in your final mix. And what that means is basically the human ear cannot hear below a certain frequency. And there's below a certain frequency you can still hear it, or you can still feel it, but not all speakers produce that frequency. So as far as processing on the kick, the only thing I've really done is EQ'd some of the low end out, and when I mean the low end, I mean like 20 hertz and down, because that is inaudible to the human ear, so we don't really need it. It's just going to eat up headroom in your final mix. And what that means is it's taking up the max volume, the ceiling. This low end frequency is hitting your ceiling so that you can't crank everything else up. So I'm just going to remove that in all so that we just don't have that issue. I took up some of the high end because it can get really kind of like hissy as far as the kick, and you don't really need that in the kick drum because it's more prominent in the low end. For the snare, same thing. I kind of leave it alone and I just cut out most of the low end all the way up to 300 hertz apparently. And then I just boost certain frequencies that I know it's going to help the snare stick out in the mix. Okay, moving on. We have the 808 bass. So this is a very important factor as far as modern music today. You hear 808s everywhere. And so 808 is just, it's derived off the Roland 808. You guys know what it is. And a lot of it lives in the sub-frequency range and the low end, but to get it audible in speakers that don't produce those frequencies, like cell phones, laptops, iPads, all that good stuff, we want to add some saturation, some harmonics to that sub-frequency and make it so that it's audible in the higher end of the frequency spectrum. And so what I did was add a little bit of saturation in it, Ableton saturation, and yeah, this is it. Oh, and by the way, for my 808s, I always use Sublab. This is a great plugin. Seriously. This makes it hit so hard. Check it out, Sublab. It's great. So I'm going to play the 808 bass along with the drums. Okay, so we have the drums, we have the bass, we have the guitar melody, and what I love to do in a lot of my tracks is add vocal chops. I am a sucker for vocal chops, and what I used here was, I don't have it anymore because I flattened the track in Ableton, which means that I printed everything to audio, but what I did use was, what I did use was Arcade by Output. It is such a great plugin. You have to pay $15 a month for it, but I think it's totally worth it, even though most of what I used is Hooked. It's called Hooked and Arcade by Output. and it is great for vocal chops. So this is what I came up with. Alright, and then there's one more part that I want to show you, and it's kind of just the staccato chord stabs that I have added into the song, and I used Serum. Serum is my go-to synthesizer, and I love it. Like, if you don't know what Serum is, go check out Serum. Go check out Serum. It's just so great. So this is what I added to the beat to give it that kind of, I don't even know what it's called, but here you go. As far as processing on that one, I just added some compression so that we could keep the volume in a small little box. If you guys don't know what compression is, I will definitely put out some tutorial videos later to talk about compression, EQing, and all that good stuff. I just wanted to get started on the video, so. So I added a little bit of compression to kind of just tame the transients a little bit and kind of just keep the tail end a little bit on the same level as the transient. And I took out the low end because we have an 808 in here and a kick, so I'm leaving room for all of that. And I kind of just cut out a little bit around 480 hertz, boost around 1500 hertz, and then again cut off some of the high end. I try to make these songs to leave space for vocalists as much as I can, just because this song is a little bit cluttered, but just so that artists can jump on it, have the potential to have artists on these tracks. So anyways, here is the product all put together with all those things I just explained. One more time from this part. Anyways, thank you guys for joining me and listening to my music. I am just getting started on this again, so I don't really know what I'm doing. I just wanted to put a video out there, and I figured if I'm gonna get started, I just have to do it, or else I'm never getting started. So, if you like the song, if you like my music, if you want to stay with me and hang out with me and watch me progress on this YouTube thing, then hit subscribe, hit like, hit the bell notification if you want to be alerted for my future videos, and peace out.